I personally have this belief that real estate isn't about properties or money, but it's about people. And I just say to have a big focus on that if you have not yet, and just go above and beyond in everything that you're tasked with, and stay in touch and follow up. And your network is really key in this business.
What is up, everybody? My name is Matt Drew, and I'm the host of the Go Big Live Real Estate Investors Podcast. I am psyched out of my mind today to have Mr. Matt Teifke. Matt is a real estate investor, broker, and entrepreneur based in Austin, Texas. He has been in the industry for over 13 years, starting at the age of 17. He has built a successful real estate brokerage of over 150 agents, focusing on making money in and on real estate, which is a passionate subject for me and Matt. I'm a former real estate agent, so I can relate to that. His company promotes an entrepreneurial spirit and encourages agents to explore multiple avenues in real estate, such as buying, wholesaling, flipping, and more. Matt and his team are aggressive in finding deals and believes that hard work and consistency are key to success in real estate. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Matt.
Let's go, man. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you having me, and hope to provide as much value as I possibly can to listeners, and be a resource. So I'm happy to be here. I feel blessed and honored, and thanks for having me on.
So creating value is something that Matt and his partner are, they put their money where their mouth is. Check out their YouTube channel. They have just a treasure trove of valuable content. And I'm talking about content that isn't just like high level, but he's got like a YouTube video where he spends hours cold calling property owners. So, it's not just one of those short form content things in terms of this is how you do it. That is just amazing stuff out there, and a lot of free information and value you can get out from guys like Matt. So I like to start out with the first question for all of our guests, and that is you were born and now you're here. What happened in between?
I love it. Thank you for shouting out the YouTube channel. Born in Cleveland, Ohio, and my family, my grandpa had a small asphalt and paving business, and my uncle moved to Texas. And then all the siblings followed him. So I came here when I was 3, and my mom was a single mom, and she raised my brother and myself, and she was working at that company, doing pretty good. She was in a sales role, and she basically would buy 1, 2, 3 houses a year until I was maybe 18. And then she had 15, 16 rental properties. And I was very blessed to see somebody hustle and do that. And, she did it as a single mom with the full-time job, raising me and my brother. And so I was lucky to see that, what's required, and also what it looks like. She would always talk about, we got these properties and the rentals, and, everybody would think that she was really well off, right? If you hear someone's got, rental properties, probably think that they make money. And she was really just building her net worth and her asset base, and they didn't really make a lot of money, after taxes and insurance and maintenance. They kind of broke even, but now they're almost paid off, and she's 59, and she's got a really good kind of portfolio and nest egg. And so I was lucky to see what that looks like and what's required. And when I was getting out of high school, I went to college, and I got my real estate license as a sophomore in college. And my whole mindset was, I really want to kind of take over the family business, and I want to kind of take these assets and do something special with them. Basically, I wanted to say, how do other people buy and sell, and how can I help them do that and also learn the business? So just really pretty much obsessed with being a student of the game. I was asking questions every single day, had a notepad, first one in, last one out. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to learn all aspects. I wanted to learn property management. I wanted to learn residential. I wanted to, learn about appraising. And over time, all through college. And then what happened was I went and got my master's degree. I would bounce around, and I did traditional real estate, and then I moved to College Station, and I worked at an apartment complex doing leasing. Then I got my appraiser's license, and I was just trying to understand it all, with always the mindset of being an investor. And long story short, I started a brokerage after right out of college. I worked at a commercial brokerage for about 3 years, and I did retail tenant rep. And it was a really great experience. I was around a lot of really smart people, and we worked for high end retailers and restaurants. But it wasn't me. It's basically 9 to 5, and you got to dress a certain way, and you wine and dine clients. And I liked what I was learning, and I liked the people I was around, but I knew I wanted to be more entrepreneurial. So right pretty much at COVID, I jumped off, and we had been building a property management company. My wife was managing my mom's houses, and then we started getting other people's houses, and we got up to like 700 single family homes that we were managing, and we ended up selling the company. But then I started a real estate brokerage, and the whole mindset was come here and be an entrepreneur. Like at the commercial brokerage, for example, I'd run across a deal, and I knew there was value there, but they'd say, "No, we don't do that. We do commercial tenant rep." And so I'm like, "Man, like there's more to this game, right? And understanding wholesaling and flipping and lending money and basically try to put it all together." What we have now is a real estate brokerage where we say, "Come get more out of real estate for you." Uh, our goal, we do a 90-10 split, and so we do make money on commissions, but we really look at it like we wanna make money with you. And where I was, you almost felt ashamed if you weren't solely building your commission base and if you were, like, flipping or partnering. Like, broker is kinda like, "Well, what are you doing?" And so we just feel like there's a niche of people that this resonates with that have their license, wanna help people buy and sell, but also wanna invest and own and partner. And so that's what we're trying to build. We say build your own brand, build your own team, come grow with us. And for the first 7, 8 years of my career, we're buying a lot of single family houses. And it was great, especially in Austin. And we're deal finders. Like we'll make like 400 offers a day, like real offers, and we hustle, right? And so we'd find deals that most people didn't see, and we find 5 or 6 of those a year and, make a lot of money. But in Austin, everything was just going up in value. Like, I mean, these properties are going up like 5, 6K every month. And then the music stopped, right? And so, we had a lot of learnings, right? And we have great properties, but it's the same thing like my mom's on the single family. They don't cash flow, but they are good to have. And so over the last 3 years, we've really shifted to small, 20, 30 unit apartments. We bought a mobile home park. We bought some assisted living. We got a RV park we're buying right now. We bought a retail building. And I think it was good. It helped us kind of have a good asset base that we could go and take to banks and lenders and look good on paper. But now I just, for the most part, really just want to buy commercial deals because I really think that's the only way to really get cash flow.
Mhm.
And so we started raising capital. Forever, we were just every penny we'd make on the brokerage, we'd turn around and we put into a deal, and we'd wait a couple months and put it into another deal. And I just really realized that we can't scale that way. And so we just bought a retail building in Florida. We're getting close on this RV park to closing, and we put little to no money in these deals, and they're great deals. And I've just kind of had this realization, and I, let me know what you think about this. It's probably pretty simple, but like if you, Matt, had 50 grand as an investor, or even just in the position you're in right now, if you had 50 grand and you want to go and get $500 back a month on that 50 grand, that's really not easy, right? Like you go buy a house for 130K and your mortgage is, 1100 and your rent's 1500. Like that gap is gone. So there's just a niche of people that really want to have these returns. And then we're the deal finders. So let's go find them and bring these to people. And we're trying to scale that up. So just long story short, we've I've been doing it for a long time and studied it and read all these books and studied people that I thought were great at it and tried to have a very entrepreneurial mindset where we go in and we're kind of on a fact finding mission. Like, hey, what's important to you? What are your goals? And whether I'm the agent or not is one of the options. I could be your agent. I could buy it from you. I could buy a portion of it from you. I could lend you money and we sell it later. We could rent it and manage it. And I don't feel like many people are approaching real estate that way. And so I think it really sets us apart because we're going in and we're getting your guard down because you're seeing, hey, we're genuinely putting options that benefit you, and you pick the options versus you pick who's the better realtor. And so very passionate and driven about that. It's hard to find people that can operate on that level because you got to really understand the game and all the different strategies. So we're building that out the best we can on the brokerage, and we're doing it real time ourselves. We're teaching about it, but then we're just actively trying to acquire deals. And the whole mindset is, a lot of us in real estate, we all have the same goal, right? It's, I think most of us, it's like, let's go get cash flow and financial freedom through real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not flippers. And so we're just trying to buy and hold. And, I know I've been a little long winded, but it's just right now, it's just such a good time to be finding motivated sellers and buying deals. And from the 13 years I've been in it, it's never been like that. Like it's always been for me in Texas it's always been a seller's market, but now it's a buyer's market. And so we're just like super motivated to hit the pavement and go find opportunities.
100%. By the way, I think I need to get your mom on the show.
Yes.
Because I
Well,
would love to hear that. For nothing else, to have some of that, stuff that your kids can be evergreen for them too, because that is an absolutely amazing story in of itself. Secondly, a couple things I want to touch on here is that me as a former real estate agent / broker myself, my major aha moment when I was actively in real estate brokerage was in our MLS, we have this, these things that pop up that say in memoriam, and they say the latest realtor that died. And there was back several years ago, one of my colleagues, I saw her name up there and I was like, I saw her climbing over a snowbank 2 weeks prior, putting up an open house sign for a Sunday open house she was at, right? Additionally, there's agents that listen to this show, and there's also people that are 1099 independent contractors, self-employed people that the IRS sort of like incentivizes you to take a lot of expenses while you're earning money, so you don't have to pay as much self-employment tax and all that stuff. The problem is that you end up shortchanging yourself in terms of not paying a lot into Social Security. So a lot of realtors out there end up having to work until they die, and that's what happened to my dad. He worked up until the day he died. So that's one of the things that I'm passionate about. And, the reason why I was so excited to have you on the show is to just is to talk about that too. So let's fast forward here a little bit. We were in the green room. We're talking about our case study we wanted to make for today, to go into excruciating detail about your, first larger deal that was a little bit of a stretch for you. So kind of like, tell me about that.
yeah. And, real quick note, on the subject of my mom, which I'm glad you brought that up. She cold calls with us still to this day. Like she's cold calling right now, and she has this very unique ability. I'm telling you, man, she'll call people, and like 3 months later, 6 months later, I'll talk to them, and they're like, tell your mom hi. Like that was one of the coolest people I've ever met, and like she like talks to your soul,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody does that as a cold caller, right? I mean, she'll spend 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and it's like, Mom, there's no deal here. But she's getting to know everything about their life because she cares. So she'd be a good person to have on.
Absolutely.
As far as that deal, we had one which I think will be interesting where it was a 2-part deal. We put 9.5 acres in Round Rock, just north of Austin, under contract. And I'm trying to remember the exact number. It was $2 million deal. We got ourselves 90 days to close it, and we had a commission to represent ourselves as the buyers.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's back to this whole entrepreneurial approach is we lead with, hey, we're licensed and here's what we can do, but sometimes they don't want to go that route. And so we put on a different hat. And so there was no broker representing the seller. So I was representing myself and our team, me and Alex, my partner.
Yeah.
So we put her under contract, and then what we do is we explore every single option possible, right? Could we find a partner? Like we're not builders, so it's vacant land. It's not half acres of vacant land, but money location. Like Round Rock is one of the best cities in the country, extremely quickly growing on a highway, and so we knew there was value here. So we said, could we find a builder partner? Could we wholesale it and flip the contract? Could we raise the money and buy it? And we had an offer at 2.4. And we're redlining a contract with a pretty big, it was DR Horton home builder.
Wow.
And then they kind of backed out. And so we're like, dang, like, we had like 60 days left. And so randomly we called this guy that, we know, and he just land banks. And I said, hey, the price is 2.7. And just 700,000 higher than what we had it at. And he said, let me get back to you. He did all his due diligence in like 24 hours. And we said, let's go. So we locked it up with a $700,000 wholesale fee and a commission on $2 million.
Wow.
So I mean, it's a big deal, right? Meanwhile, we had a mobile home park in South Austin under contract for $999,999. That's what he wanted. He didn't want $1 million. Some with taxes, I guess. But we didn't have the money to buy it at the time. But similar strategy, we're wholesale, flip it, raise money, whatever. But long story short, we basically had to continue to extending that close date on that mobile home park. And the owner didn't care. He was kind of like, yeah, you want to close later? Like, great. It was free money to have it tied up. And so we literally went to the closing table and closed on the mobile home park, signed the paperwork, but we didn't have the money, but we were waiting on the 700,000 to come in that same day. And this was all within a 3-4 month period. And we got the 700,000, and that was the down payment to go buy this property. We had another partner on there. We bought the whole thing and closed both deals, 2 huge deals. But the reason I think it's interesting is because, at least for us, like, it's always kind of down to the wire. Like, this stuff's not easy, and you're kind of you're just pulling things off. And we're doing that, like I mentioned to you earlier, with our RV park, and we've got 8 or 9 days to get all the money in. But you just kind of keep plugging away, and somehow it always works out. And so we're sitting on the mobile home park right now. It's 14 units in South Austin, and we got like $500 rents. They honestly should be like $750, $850. But we're really just not trying to crank it up and kick everybody out. It's kind of like sustaining itself, and it's probably a better use, some kind of development in the future. But that's one of our favorite properties, and we literally, to the day, barely closed it.
So I want to get into more of the details on that, but I operate under the same thing, man. Like I have the analogy that, I mean, some of us, we operate with the wall behind us, which is the back against our wall, right? I find that I operate at the highest level of effectiveness when my back is against the wall, and I have no other option than going forward. And then there's the wall in front of you, right? So the wall in front of you is like stands between you and your destination. And sometimes, like, there's a lot of people, especially people that have entrepreneurial spirits like you, are like, all right, where's the little cracks and vulnerabilities in that wall that I can start scratching at those cracks? And then, started to claw at it and chisel at it. And then at some point in time, you're going to bust through that wall and bust through that ceiling out of the other side. A lot of people think it's just like a straight path through. And a lot of times it's not. There's a lot of like deviations from the mission. There's a lot of like, things that you're going to do to add value that, like, I think this is going to be somewhat in alignment of it. I think this could be somebody I could work with eventually, but I'm not sure. And then, just through that energy you're putting out there into the universe, making those those positive deposits in the universe and relationships, you find a way to bust through.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it, man. You're right. I mean, I would think that that's probably the case every time. Like, I don't think there's ever just walk right through. I mean, maybe like little aspects along the way, but it's always a challenge. I feel like true entrepreneurs and people that are doing it, they kind of get it, and they understand, and they have some kind of connection there, because what we do is nothing guaranteed, and there's challenges, and it's also it's why we can sit here in the middle of the day and do this, and we don't have to necessarily show up to a job. And so there's trade-offs, and it's not that necessarily one's better than the other, but probably for us, we couldn't see ourselves doing anything else.
Mhm. Absolutely. So let's talk about the capital stack on this mobile home park deal, right? So first of all, I want to back up a little bit. How'd you find this deal, man?
Cold calling, just cold calling property owners.
And were you specifically targeting mobile home parks, or were you just like, all right, here's a list of like every single asset class that's in this subject market? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, we were back to kind of where we shifted from single family,
Hmm.
uh, not necessarily mobile home parks, but commercial cash flowing deals. So I always try to think about where's there less competition, and I like multifamily, but everybody likes multifamily, and
Hmm.
everybody calls on, and then there's a lot of sophisticated brokers. But what I'm kind of gravitating towards is mobile home parks, RV parks, uh, just things that people aren't hitting the pavement and uncovering opportunities on. And so we'll just, we'll get a new direction and we'll go all in on it for a little bit. And like right now, for example, I feel like the opportunity to make money is to go do owner finance deals and then get creative. And we're working this RV park that we're doing is 0% interest, 1.8 million down, a $7 million deal, and we're not overpaying for that. But every payment we make pays off the principal.
Hmm.
And I just think right now, if somebody's really selling, there's a reason they're selling, and the logic leads to the only way to make these deals work is to owner finance them because the rates are so high. And so you get in there and it's like, hey, no payment for 6 months or this, you can work it any way you want. And so we're just like, I guess the point is like at the time, yeah, we were looking for something cash flow. Now we're looking for owner finance, and we'll just go on these like sprints.
Hmm.
And that's back to the entrepreneurial spirit of like, what's the opportunity right now? But it's all real estate based.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that a lot of people are sort of sitting on the sidelines in this market, we got bid ask spreads that have definitely widened with commercial income property. And people are just like, all right, I'm like, I'm gonna go off, I'm gonna, golf or do it, do whatever or mess around with something else, something else. And I really am seeing out there in the transaction space, buyers and sellers for the first time in my life, and I've been doing this for 18 years, actually collaboratively working together to get each other what they
Right.
want, right?
Yes.
So it's not like, you got these like any investment income property that was, whatever in terms of favorable asset class. All right, we have a call for offers, and then there's like 10, 15 offers that come in and they get highest and best and all that stuff. Like that stuff just isn't happening right now. And I think that walk-in properties, cold calling, calling on brokers and building those relationships, like those are things that people aren't doing right now because they're sitting on the sidelines. And you need to expand into the contraction. If you're on the battlefield, you need like when the enemy is retreating, you need to be moving forward. That is that time right now because even if the transaction volume is going to be typically lower than in other market cycles, that work you're putting into relationships, because relationships move at the speed of trust, is going to win you amazing dividends over the long term. So let's talk about cold calling a little bit because, like, I consider you guys like, cold calling, prospecting experts. Tell me about your order of operations in terms of like when you got this list, like your script that you used on making contact with this property owner.
Yeah. Well, and even to your point of being collaborative, just one thing I'll say about that is, a year ago, right? There was no, hey, hey, Matt, like I want to buy this deal, but I don't see how I can make money. Well, figure it out. Now it's like, all right, well, let's talk through it, right?
Mhm.
Um, my basic script is, hey, Matt, my name is Matthew Teifke. I'm a real estate entrepreneur and investor here in Austin, and we own a lot of real estate, and we're also agents. Do you have some time to talk? Right? Get them to kind of agree to that,
Mhm.
and then I'm kind of just like, hey, what I truly want to do is, I want to throw out different options for you that I think could provide value for you. And in order for me to do that, I really just need you to kind of share what your situation is, what's going on, and I'll just throw out different things that I think might make sense. Does that work for you, Matt?
Mhm.
Yeah, that works great. Okay, cool. Well, tell me about the deal. And then you're really just approaching it with a genuine curiosity and not like, how am I going to make money, but like what is your actual need and how do I help you? And it's kind of an easy conversation because uh you're literally there to just help them, right? And so it could be a lot of times it's not going to be me making money. But if I approach everybody that way and then I follow up and I stay in touch with them, that's actually the best way to make money in the long run. So it's really just a fact finding mission to find out what's important to the seller and then present solutions. Buying it's one, listing it's one, buying a portion of it's one, giving them advice is one. And that's back to, you call realtors and you're like, why did the seller want to sell? Like, well, because they want to make money, right? But like, and that sounds simple to some people maybe, and they think that's the reality. But the problem is agents don't actually really know because they've never even asked the questions. They're just happy that they got the listing, right? And so we're just trying to find people that are willing to talk and have a conversation, and then we'll find a solution. And that just exists now, and it at least for us, it did not exist a year ago. Nobody was willing to sit there and talk to you. It's like, dude, I don't know, just make me an offer, right? That's what it was. Now it's a different conversation. So to your point, I mean, this is literally the best time ever to be doing this and having these conversations. And I'd rather, if that was my mindset to go, shut it down and golf and all that, I'd rather do that when the market's hot. That would be my opinion on the time to do that because I'll just let my assets just go up in value would be the mindset.
Now, let's talk a little bit about, not every phone call in terms of a cold call that you make is going to be like, oh yeah, Matt, I'm happy to talk to you and that sort of thing. Like it is fraught with a lot of quote unquote rejection and everybody hates rejection. So as you and your mom and your agents are melting the phone lines, making these calls, how do you maintain that positive mental mojo through cold calling and like, building and keeping that courage and confidence high?
Yeah, it's just it's all just kind of a game, right? And when you do have the mindset that I'm talking about, like I genuinely believe that I'm doing good things and that I'm here to help you.
Mhm.
And I mean, you got to have a good, I guess, spiritual base or personal, mental strength because you are going to deal with negativity, but just move on, right? I mean, I don't know the answer, but I don't I've thought about this. It's like if someone answers the phone and I don't really honestly, I don't cold call that much anymore. We get a lot of deals through people, like through agents and through wholesalers, and we encourage them to buy it with us.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's just like anything, man. Just go do 100 calls and then you'll be better at it. But I've thought about like if someone answers the phone and they're like, "Hey, like, what do you want?" Or like just straight negative, like maybe just hang up and just move on to the next one. Maybe now more than ever. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure you can break through to people, but uh, it's probably just not even worth it. My mom will do the opposite of that. But you get these wins and and when people and the reason I think that way is like people either want a deal or they don't
Mhm.
is my mindset. And if they want a deal, it's like, all right, let's figure this out. And if you're not vibing, just move on. But it doesn't affect me any which way. And it's like I said, it's just like anything, right? If you're a basketball player or a baseball player and you strike out, 7 out of 10, but 3 out of 10 you do good, you're winning. And so you don't care about the 7 out of 10, which is irrelevant. But you got to just go, and that's part of the game, right? And I would think that the only people that would fear that are just people that are more fearing it than actually doing it,
Mhm.
and they're not just jumping in because you get over that quickly. I mean, I had those fears when I first started, kind of sucked, but then it just becomes really easy and fun, and you're just like, what's the opportunity? And you can do this with, like, I would suggest doing this with realtors instead of homeowners. Like, have these same conversations with realtors, and they might not have a property, but like, hey, like, what are you seeing in the business? Are there leads that you're turning away? Are there things I can give you? Are there motivated sellers that you know about? Do you have anybody that wants to invest in our deal and will get paid? And one, you got the realtor's actual number, and they're either a deal maker or they're not. And if they're a deal maker, then really it's on you guys to just follow up and stay in touch.
100%. So let's talk about this capital stack on this $999,999.99 mobile home park.
Yeah.
So you were bringing in $700,000 worth of cash. Like, where did the 300,000 and change come from?
So, I misspoke on that one. We didn't use all the 700 for the down payment.
Okay.
We got a loan. So I think we put like 400,000 down or something like that. And so me and my partner put 2/3 of that, and then another one of our partners put up 1/3 of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we turned around and put that rest of that into a 17-unit apartment in Llano, Texas,
Okay.
weeks after. But we got on that one, it was basically 70% loan. It was a good rate. I think it's 4.25.
Yeah.
And maybe a 5-year balloon. And it was bringing in like 15,000 a month. I think our debt is like 4,500 or 5,000. So it's a good cash flow deal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we got a community bank loan on that one.
Okay, great. Let's talk about the business plan. I mean, was this, mobile home parks are either, predominantly resident owned homes or predominantly park owned homes. Like, tell us about like what this deal looked like in terms of number of spaces. Like, give us a high level, like kind of overview of what the deal was.
Yeah, it's 2.37 acres, 14-unit mobile home park. There's a small. It looks like a residential house up front, but it's leased to a nail salon and then a jeweler.
Mm-hmm.
So that's out front, and then you got all the mobile homes in the back. And when we bought it, we owned the mobile homes, but we gave them away. We said, "You guys," and strategically too. I mean, they probably were worth a little bit of money. I mean, there's 14 of them, so I'd assume at least $100,000.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to do any maintenance. I don't actually. This is the only mobile home park that we own. But from my knowledge, I mean, I know that when you own properties, like if something goes out, like that's vital to living, you have to fix it.
Yeah.
Like if you own a house and the AC goes out, we have to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume it's the same, right? And so there's a lot more that would go wrong, and it's like, probably would have got away with it with not that much, but we'd rather just not deal with maintenance. And so essentially they're just paying $450, $500 for the lots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. Like, we don't have any maintenance. It's just straight cash flow. And we haven't, like I said, raised the rents, but we also haven't put any money into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's that trade-off, it's just kind of focusing on going to do other deals.
Yeah.
But there's a massive amount of potential in there. I mean, we could easily put tiny homes and charge like $1,300 a month and make a lot more. And we could also go and add value. And there's like a little asphalt drive that goes through it. We could repave that and some of that stuff. But we're just not focused on it right now. The location is money. It's 5 minutes from downtown Austin.
Wow.
It's 5 minutes from the airport. It's on Burleson Road. So it's just like a beautiful location. But we're just kind of letting it sit there, and it's all working class, and everybody's good. They're paying a good rent. They never complain about anything. We don't raise the rent. Everybody wins. And we'll probably do something in like 5 to 10 years, but not in a massive rush. We'd rather go focus on, let's go find deals. And as you know, I mean, the operations and running these things is a full-time commitment, right? So if we really wanted to get in there and do it right, we'd be pretty focused on it for 2-3 months at least, and not doing other things. And like we mentioned, like right now is deal finding season.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the beautiful thing about buying stuff that's stabilized and the cash flows from day one and can support itself, is because you can, because I bought major heavy lift value add deals that like took 100% of my time and focus and took years off my life. And there's an opportunity cost associated with that, and those deals changed my life. I'm not going to, minimize them or anything like that. But, we own deals that are like this that are basically, it's like we can warehouse those deals and be like, you know what, at some point in time, there's definitely a way that we could add value that would be a heavy lift, but let's just set it. The tenants are good there. We got a great investment as it stands in as is condition. And we can, approach that at some point in time. Like when the market heats up, for instance, and when you're like, oh, maybe I can go golfing and then maybe I can like, figure out what to do in terms of bringing this thing into highest and best use. So, I do, we're going to be going into our live Q&A pretty soon with our live studio, virtual studio audience, Matt. So I want to talk about what you're up to these days. You're doing actively raising capital for some of your deals. Like, tell us about what you got going on right now.
Yeah, we're closing an RV park out that I mentioned. Hopefully, so our due diligence expires on the 15th. I think today's 4th or 5th, or I don't know, 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm working on a note. You ever mess with notes?
Yeah, we've bought debt at a discount to unpaid principal balance before. So yeah.
Yeah, so we're working on a pretty big one. Backed by multifamily in Corpus Christi, Texas. The owner of the note is owed 2.13. We put it under contract yesterday at 1.6, and they're making monthly payments of $16,000, and the asset's probably worth like at least 4.5 or 5.
Wow,
it's 66 unit apartment, and so that's and it's due in 18 months, right? So like that's a home run in my opinion. At 1.6, you get 2.1 in 18 months, and you get 16,000 a month along the way. And so this is back to our strategy. It's like, what do we do, right? What options are available to us? Do we mark it up and sell it for 1.9, and somebody buys that and they get paid the 2.13 later, and we make essentially a wholesale fee?
Yeah.
Do we raise the capital and pay investors a return and we own it and buy it? Those are pretty much the only two options I can think of. If you have any other thoughts, let me know. But like, we just captured value and now we're going to go try to capitalize on it. We're also working on a deal in Corpus Christi where it's a retail building that he wants $1 million. It's got 9 tenants in it, and he agreed to have a 70-year amortization.
Wow.
And no payments for the first 12 months. And then after that, it goes to $3,500 a month, and it brings in about $12,000 a month. So like, these are just crazy deals, right? And so it's just one day at a time. What's the new deal? How do we go solve it and get it done? And really, I've never been in a position like this. Is like, we have more deals than we can handle. Like with just those, with the RV deal and then this note and then this other deal, it's like, well, now we got to go get them done. And we could probably go get 3 or 4 more of those right now, but then we probably wouldn't get them all done, So it's just a deal at a time. That's kind of what I was saying, what you mentioned too about make money in and on real estate. In is for us is commissions, flipping, wholesaling. On is the ownership side. And we need both, because we don't have enough cash flow from the assets that we own that, that will allow us to go do more deals or even really sustain, our own, we couldn't retire off of the cash flow. And so we got to figure, we really want to buy and own, and we'd rather go long-term, but in the meantime, we got to get the money coming in from creating and providing value to investors and owners. And then how do you flip that into the long-term? Almost immediately is the goal. So it's the RV park, it's the note, it's the retail building in Corpus, and then we're running a brokerage, right? Like, so we got to talk to agents every day, and we're trying to grow that, and they're closing commissions, and we make money on the brokerage. And my focus has always been the people and the relationships, and just planting seeds and kind of just trying to stay in touch with people that I think are going to be around and we can help each other out. And my partner Alex is the operations guy, and he would actually maybe be a good guy to have on your podcast, but he was a full blown heroin addict and in jail 8 years ago, and now he's like the sharpest dude I know by far. I mean, he's just in it, and he's 30 years old.
Wow.
So we make a good team. I've known him since he was a little kid. He just went down on a bad path for a few years, but got that out of his way by the age of 20. And so it's kind of like you said. I mean, I don't know how I always feel. I agree with you, and I'm not knocking anything, but the whole like at battle, like it is real. Uh, but at the same time, it's like we're not killing people, and I know that. Like I think there's a balance of like we want to go make money and do good things, but at the same time, it's like we can all do this together.
Mhm.
But business is tough, right? I mean, that's the challenge. Is like it is cutthroat, and there are people that will screw you over, and you'll make your own mistakes and screw people over, maybe on accident or on purpose. But like, you got to just kind of seek to be better and have these good relationships. And everybody, in my opinion, everybody's had a bad partnership, but like nobody ever claims to have been a bad partner, right? And so it's like that. It's just business is really tough, and that's what I was saying. Of like, I have thought about it, and I don't regret anything, and I wouldn't want to have done this, but like, it would be nice to have a 9 to 5 and check out on the weekends and not have to worry about some of these things. But I wouldn't do it over again personally.
Yeah. So, Matt, we're out of time here. I actually selfishly want to talk more about, there's a lot of chatter out there about distressed note investing, especially in the commercial space. So in the Q&A, because we're going to have about 12 minutes in the live Q&A there, I want to dive into that with you. Definitely want to talk on that. In the closing here, what are your words of advice for experienced real estate investors that maybe own a few rental properties, single family, small multifamily, that want to swim upstream into larger deals?
Yeah, I'd say that just get aligned with people that are on the same path, and real estate's a team sport, and go do it together. And there's enough out there for everybody, and too many of us are feeling like we got to compete with everybody, and we got to be the best in the world, and be the best in the world at something, right? But like, have someone else on your team that's the best at another aspect of it. And so go team up. And that's the beautiful thing about this business is you can go find somebody doing it, and you can team up with them on 2 or 3 deals, and you can go do one on your own, and you can team up with someone else who's doing 2 or 3 deals. Like you ain't working a job, right? So just get around people that are doing it, and find somebody who's making money and successful with it, and help them be more successful with it. And things will tend to work out, and just keep, you help them, you help the people in a sense below you or that are coming up to learn. And I personally have this belief that real estate isn't about properties or money, but it's about people. And I just say to have a big focus on that if you have not yet, and just go above and beyond in everything that you're tasked with, and stay in touch and follow up. And your network is really key in this business, and you can go build it pretty easily, because a lot of people feel this way as well. And you go start building the network right now, but the results that you see, as we all know, are gonna be in 6 months or 8 months or a year. And at that time, the market might be hot again, and then it's gonna be too late to go build these relationships.
Absolutely. That's sage advice, man. If you are listening to this right now in podcast land, on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and you want to get in on a live Q&A with absolute real estate titans like Matt Teifke, you got to join our Facebook group, Go Big Live Real Estate Investors Group. We actually post these episodes weeks in advance as to when they go out in podcasts. And also you get exclusive access directly to guests like Matt, Gino Barbaro, Matt Faircloth, Ashley Kerr, Tyler Cauble, Paula Nichols, just absolute people that are crushing it out there. And you got to hang out with those people. And I'm giving you the opportunity to do that. So, and also, I don't ask this very much, but please give us a honest rating and review on wherever you get your podcasts. If you're enjoying this show, if you hate it and you think it sucks, let me know. The more reviews that we get, means the better, not better, but more guests that we can get on the actual podcast itself through getting more reviews too. So thank you for tuning in. And Matt, thank you very much for being on the show and being generous with your time.
Always, man. Thank you for having me. And thanks everybody for listening.
Peace.